Ladies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Are back. I know it's a bit later than usual, but welcome back to Vic Akers Wonderland. I am your host for tonight, and Lottie, and it's only the magnificent Matt joining me tonight. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. It's been a very, very long week before the kids break up for half term, so I think all the kids are ending up having to get all their frustrations and anger out now before the break next week.
I can imagine. I don't miss teaching at all. Because that last week before the half term, dinner term, we used to just let them do what they wanted. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, I don't have the energy to plan anything today. Let's just go with it. But let's crack on with the news. Kimmy Little is here to stay for another year. I know there's been a lot of talks amongst us privately, including Adam. We were thinking it's Kim's last year. This is one for the books, isn't it?
It is, but it's also very questionable as well. If you think about it, the amount of times that she's been injured this year, you're thinking maybe subtly that in the back of your mind, maybe this is the year she decides, you know what, I'm giving it up. But the fact that it's one more year, she's going to use that year a lot more wisely. If she is going to have these injury issues now and then, she can perhaps be more inclined to be more of a bit part player, if that makes sense, and maybe show the ropes a little bit more towards maybe if Laia Harbert or some of the other young guns are going to be around in the squad next season. Maybe that would be the idea, is that they they'll be showing them the ropes a little bit more. But I don't think this will be the end of Kim Little's story just yet. I think apart from next season, there'll be a few more chapters after 2026. Let's just call it that.
So she's going to be with us to at least June 2026. She's currently sitting in third on our modern history appearances chart. How many goals has she got, Matt? Do you know?
I know she's up there. I know Jayden Ludlow is the top goal scorer. I think she's fifth on that list with about three. I know it's about over 300 goals.
363 appearances.
So I got it wrong then. So she's quite close on that list as well. I know she's quite close.
She's third on the list, and she's got 174 goals for the club.
Yeah, I knew I was going to get something wrong there.
You're close enough though. You just got the numbers muddled.
Yeah,
that's all right though. Don't worry. You did a classic, Lottie. So, Kim's won 6 championship titles with us during her career, in addition to 3 FA Cups, 6 League Cups, an MBE for her football services to football, I should say, from the 2023 New Year Honours List, I think. So it's another year of Kim. I mean, Kim is absolutely. You've already said this, and I completely agree with it. You don't appreciate Kim Little until you've seen her live. But do you think in the next year or so we'll see reduced minutes from her?
I think we've already started to, and that is where I mentioned about Laia Harbert. I think that it might be the case that Laia Harbert or it might be someone else in the squad that will be getting those minutes instead. It's very much a wait and see what's going to happen, but I think it's more about making sure that we are prepared for life without Kim. We are seeing that sometimes already, but you've got to be careful. A couple of years ago, I think it would have been, actually when I started, it was always about Kim and Leovaldi in that midfield pivot, and there was never really there was always questions of what happens when both of them aren't available, what happens when, who are you going to play? And there wasn't really an answer. And now, 5 years later, you've got a pick of Frida Marnham, you've got a pick of Kyra Cooney-Cross, you've got Laia Harbert, who's again from line, but there are other players out there that could probably do the job. And we might maybe see someone else come in the summer as well. So there's always that opportunity. But I don't think we say to, this isn't a case of making sure that Kim Little's like pushed out the club. I think she knows her own limits. So I think she's actually probably been a bit sensible this year instead of like last year when she went out over to Olympic Rain and came back. Then she got injured, didn't she? So she's been a bit more sensible this season and actually just taken that break to know that she needs that break to rest her body a little bit. And I think we might be seeing that a little bit more with an international break as well coming up.
Yeah, no, I think it's exciting stuff. I know she's out from her surgery, but sometimes I think with a lot of fans, especially across social media, a lot of people have suggested that she should be hitting the gym more. She can't run for 90 minutes anymore. I mean, some instances this season, I sit back and think maybe they're right, but there's some instances where she's had a brilliant game, and I can't fault her. So I don't know if it's her age catching up with her. I hate to say that because she's not that much older than me, so that worries me. But I do think maybe this might be the last year.
Hopefully, let's make it a good one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, next season marks 10 seasons since we've last had an FA Cup. Believe it or not, the last time we won it was 2015/16. So hopefully we can change that this season.
That can be changed, yeah. And I think I've already mentioned how much I want a trip to Wembley this season.
Yeah.
I think we're all sort of pushing the boat.
As long as they don't put the Arsenal fans in the unlucky end, because the last time I was in that end, we got battered by Chelsea, and I swore to myself I never wanted to see Lotta and Jen BT play ever again together. But I got over it eventually.
Kind of had to, didn't we, after that injury crisis?
It's one of them things that you have to kind of deal with, whether you like it or not. So it wasn't fun at all. But heading up north now, we have drawn Liverpool in the quarterfinals for the 9th of March. That will be probably played at Meadow Park. A time is yet to be decided, depending on what Boreham Wood's fixtures are, I believe. So that's going to be interesting. Looking forward to that one. It's a normal WSL clash, but what are we thinking, Matt?
Well, I think some of the draw that came out, I think people are a bit antsy really, because Man United have again managed to pick the lowest ranking team left in the competition.
Yeah. You know what I would have liked to see? Palace and Sunderland. Now that would have been a game. That would have been a juicy classic FA Cup fixture. That was what I'd want to see, and I'd quite happily watch Man United get battered by Chelsea. Although I'd want it the other way around at this point. But that
was the other thing that everyone was wondering about, what was going to happen with City and Chelsea if they drew each other again.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it'll be just a regular WSL tie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know there's a top team, but they're both top teams. But how many times can you watch a game and already see the outcome? Whereas Sunderland bring that as unknown to the table. Crystal Palace are bottom table, and they were top of the league all of last season, and I think that would be a brilliant like battle to watch.
There's for certain, I think there is that sort of annoyance. I think one of the things that I really like actually in Germany is you'll get like the Bundesliga teams, this is the men, unfortunately not the women, they are drawn away to a lower ranking team, I think, when they first come through. So something like that I think would probably help. But the issue is because the WSL teams come in later than along with the championship, they all come in a bit too late instead of maybe say the third round where teams can sort of be able to do that. It's not really done, but it'd be one that I could probably get behind if it was to happen one season, because again, it's another home tie for that's 3 in a row. For some teams, it's a bit of frustration. Liverpool this is their second away tie because they were away to Rugby Borough. That was a really good game, actually, watching that, and I thought that Rugby Borough were going to go and get something, and unfortunately, just the last 10 minutes they weren't able to. But 2-0, I think they'll be happy with, because of where they are, and there isn't that much of a gap. Even between Palace and Newcastle United, it was a small gap as well. I think that finished 2-0 as well. So there were games in the cup that was brilliant, but then there was other ones where you look at Man United go against Wolverhampton Wanderers and go and win 7-0, and half the goals are scored in the second half when Wolves just were too tired to be able to get attack or anything like that. It's just, again, trying to find that balance again. I think we're still finding that balance, and at the moment, some teams are near enough to be considered challenging these WSL teams all the way, and some of them just are falling a bit short. And one thing you do look at is that the FA Cup could be won by anyone. We've seen it in the past, and that's not. We're not going to belittle it, because it's essentially our cup. It's when I say our cup, it's a cup that anyone can win at the end of the day. Doesn't matter which team you are.
Are you referring to the 14 times that we've won it?
Well, I wouldn't.
Although it hasn't been nearly 10 years. So,
but during that time, the most consistent finalist has been Chelsea. So it's basically, if you beat Chelsea, you win the FA Cup, because no one else has been able to get their hands on it apart from Man United over the past 5 seasons. Oh, that's a bit depressing, isn't it? Basically, since I started watching.
It's also a case of that is their, I believe it's their first major trophy since come to top flight football. Is that right?
Yes, so they won.
Obviously, apart from the championship, but since they've been in the WSL, that's the only thing they've really won, which kind of annoyed me last season, because you have to look at it and think, what's better, winning the Continental Tires Cup, and I know it's the Subway Cup, but I'm talking about last season before you correct me, or the FA Cup. I'd rather win the FA Cup. I'm not going to lie.
I think it's got that historical. Yeah, it's got that historical factor.
I'm not turning my nose up here at the Continental Tires Cup, but it's the FA Cup and anything can happen, sort of thing.
It'll be like next season with the it's now Europa Cup, isn't it? They changed it to the Europa Cup, and you got the Champions League. Would you rather win the Champions League or the Europa Cup? Well, you could win both, and then you can have 2 sets of European champions there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Player of the month is in Kyra Cooney-Cross. Are we surprised? I'm not. I'm really not surprised after I voted. I didn't vote for Kyra, unfortunately, but hey ho.
It was really difficult, I felt, this time around. Leicester has again been scoring for fun. Marioni Caldente has been, I think she's starting to really understand the league now, so she's getting into that rhythm where she knows what she can and what she can't get away with. But Kyra's just really taken this role to another level. I know we talk about lots of women Moy having like a level and then breaking that level. We're seeing it now with Kyra, and it's great to see, because we were talking about Kim a little bit earlier, weren't we? And she's not been available all the time, so Kyra has to step up, and she's shouldered that responsibility a lot better than, say, she did a year ago. And I think it's great to see. I'm not surprised she's won Player of the Month, and think that it's well deserved. What will be interesting is, can she carry on this form?
I really hope so, because I knew we had a player on our hands back at the World Cup, and I know people are sick of me saying this, but I was right. And I'm gonna sit there and revel in it, because a lot of people weren't necessarily impressed with her when she first arrived. I am going to group you in there, Matt, because I know you're always overly cautious, whereas me, I dive two-footed in here. Here we go, new player. She's going to be great. Let's do it. Whereas Adam likes to sit on the fence as well. So
I think my main issue was, again, we go back to the double pivot. If you're going to get minutes, it's going to be either Kim Little's injured or Liv Hardy's injured. One of them's going to get injured at one point of the season. It's inevitable. It's can they, and I think the frustration was that the first game that we saw was against Liverpool for the last couple of minutes, and it was just like, why are you putting her on now when you need to go and get something? And
it's also it's the same with when we lost at Tottenham 1-0. Why are you leaving her for that long?
Yeah, it's all questionable, but I think what's happened is also Rene's managed to be able to do a really good job as well. But let's not just talk about the players, because Rene's actually managed to pick this team up and actually bring the confidence back into them. And she's done a really good job. Even the losses have only been very short. They haven't been like a 3-0, 3-0 and double whammies. They've been close and run and really closely fought as well to the very end. You couldn't tell who was going to win. It's just on mute. It's okay.
Sorry, I've just literally full screened myself and I was like, oh, what's going on? Sorry, I knocked the mouse. Sorry, everybody. I know it doesn't mean anything to the wonderful pre-recorded info, but I'm just wondering what the hell was going on. But yeah, though we play Liverpool 3 weeks apart, sort of a double header in March. I don't want to go too deep into this because this is not about Liverpool, but we know what happens when we played a team twice very closely together. And the Emirates last season wasn't a great memory. Do you think Rene has it all under control when it comes to double headers now, unlike Jonas?
I hope so. I hope it's the good news about this is that essentially is you'll have the FA Cup game, then WSL game, then the next week you'll play Liverpool at the Emirates. So in that, I think it's
Spain as well during that time as well, which is exciting.
Yeah. And that's where I think it's going to be key, is that she can say, right, okay, once the FA Cup's gone, whatever happens, she can just say, right, okay, next focus is, it always seems to be the case that they always talk about after, don't care about the game. Once it's gone to the next game. But it feels like it's more mentally there, I think is the best way I can put it, and more they're ready for the next challenge, instead of just say Katie coming up after a game and saying, oh, ready for the next game now. They are actually in full focus on that next game. They're not looking back at say the last game and just sort of when they're having those issues of sorry, not issues. I'm trying to when they're overthinking things through and it goes over your head. Sometimes you sort of play it back in your mind, and it's just one of those things that I think that Rene's been able to help with over this since she's come in. So hopefully now that they'll get a rhythm going between the FA Cup game against Liverpool and then the WSL game at the Emirates, because it's two different stages, and I think that's going to be key, and making sure that they can get something from the game is going to also be quite key for Champions League football next season as well.
No, I completely agree. But we'll have more on Liverpool when we get to March. Speaking of that wonderful midfield we've been speaking about, Victoria Pelova is back. She scored with the under 21s against Man United during the week, and even Amanda Ilestedt got some minutes.
And a goal.
Oh, and a goal. Oh, I didn't see that. My bad. So they both scored.
Freddie
both got minutes.
Was able to report that. So
awesome. And there was some very wholesome pictures of the girls watching them play at the Sobna training centre where the game was played. How excited are we to have Victoria Pelova back? I'm already bouncing off the walls.
One thing that I love is that I think that they were able to bring that wholesomeness, and I want to give credit to the marketing team as well, marketing and the social media team, because that right there is things that you want to see that you don't really get to see very often. I think that's almost the whole squad is there watching them both play, and it's great to see because it means that she's one step closer. Even the Netherlands national team got involved, saying it's great to see her on the pitch again. So maybe, just maybe, we might be seeing her towards the end of the season, which would be great to see, because I think we all missed Vic this season, and I think we've all missed that feistiness that she brings onto the pitch. Oh, okay, there is some feistiness on that pitch already with Katie McCabe, and some of the other players do take that. But
she just brings something different to that midfield. As much as the midfield is brilliant, if anyone's going to take a yellow for the team, it's going to be Katie. She's top of the list, and the next one behind her for me is Vic Pelova.
Yeah.
I remember, I've always said this. I'd love to be on a flying wall the day she turned up in the training room with Laia there. Would have loved to see that sort of reaction, because that tackle was bad, very bad. But yeah, very excited Victoria Pelova's back. I mean, I think once she's running up at full speed for me, I want to see how her and Kyra work in the middle. I don't want necessarily. I'm not anti Kim and Leah Volti, but I want to see how that works with the pair of them.
Yeah.
I think that's more so preparing for the future.
Yeah.
Whereas with Kim and Leah Volti, we know what we get. We know what we get. We know what to expect. It's okay, we're fine there. We don't need to worry about that. They know what they need to do, sort of thing. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited.
It'll be interesting as well, because it does question what's going to happen with Frida Marno as well, if Vic comes back and is fully 100% fit.
No, absolutely, because there's no way she's starting ahead of Mariona. There's absolutely no chance, because the way Mariona plays and the way that she cuts all the lines and pulls defenses apart, Frida can't do that. She's a very, very different player, and I think for the way we play now, we need Mariona starting consistently. For me personally, I mean, she's unlocked another level for Caitlin Ford this season, and it's brilliant. I'm enjoying it. She's definitely earning her way back from that. What was our lowest score last year? 2?
You gave her a 2. I gave her I think I had to give her a 1 because 0 wasn't an option.
Yep, it was. So hopefully she's definitely earning her way back up for me personally. But there was a game last Sunday. We were very late doing this podcast. Just in case you didn't know, we played London City Lionesses on Sunday. We beat them 2-0, and it was a good game from where I was standing. You can see me in the footage taking my photos. I can pick myself out exactly where I should be. But as far as lineups go, we had Manu Zinsberger back in goal, which was nice to see. Back line, this may be wrong because I'm looking at this right now, and Sky have got this very, very wrong. So we had a back 4 of Katie Reid, Lotta Wibbemoy. This thing says Charlotte. Nope. Laia Cadena and Katie McCabe. In the middle of the park, we had Kyra Cooney-Cross, Frida Marnham, and Mariona Caldente. Up top, we had Caitlin Ford, Alessia Russo, and Jenna Niswanga. I probably said that wrong. I do apologise if anybody is listening. But we got a debut, Matt. What did you make of her?
It was really difficult for me because it seemed to be that. So this is one of the things that they talked about post-game with Renee, was that she was put in the midfield so that she could sort of get to know the team a little bit more. Now, when she was originally signed, we thought she was a left back, but she's actually come as a defensive midfielder, and she can actually play on the wings as well. So there's versatility in that sort of rank. So that's kind of a good news. It was, I think there was a bit of question marks over why she was chosen to play as in the pivot with Kyra Cooney-Cross. And I think the problem is that I I don't think she really got herself into the game, and because she didn't get into the game compared to some of the other players, you kind of see why she decided to only give her the 45 minutes and substitute her at half time. It's just a case of when you're watching it again, I think it's going to be a case of actually seeing her live to actually get to know the real player, because don't really. It's all well and good having watching at home, but you don't get the full picture. You don't get the full pitch all the time, so you can't see how her positioning is, for example, when um, when she's looking to track back and things like that. And it's one that I would like. I think we'll probably see a little bit more of her, but it'll be more of a case of where are you going to put her? Are you going to use her as the left back, or are you going to put her in the midfield? But it'll be one that Renee will definitely be keeping an eye on. Yeah.
No, it's just piqued my interest because obviously I haven't actually watched the highlights back. I haven't had a chance to. But from what I saw, it felt very much just a warm up to integrating into the team. I found that when she sort of came out and she saw the North Bank, I feel like she was a little bit intimidated about the amount of fans that were there. I mean, there was only 2,483 there over the weekend, and obviously the massive North Bank packed out as usual, nice and loud. So do you think it could be a bit intimidating from someone that's come from the NWSL?
Yes, and I think this is one of the things that some of the Americans, whether they're coming over to play for Arsenal or if they're playing for, let's say, Germa at Chelsea, it's getting used to the fact that you're not going to be playing in these huge arenas every week. I've just had a quick look, and Gotham Stadium is 25,000, so you're not going to have that.
Whereas what are the Meadow Park is about 4,500
thousand
people. Yeah.
So you're talking not even a quarter of the state of that sort of stadium that she made her home is going to be there, but it's most of that capacity was in that North Bank, as you can see from the when watching this game. It's just, I think it might take her a while to get used to it, and that's always the good news with when you have a January signing, is that essentially it's a 6 months get used to period, whereas if you're a summer signing, it's a very quick turnaround, and you have to be prepared almost instantly because anything can happen. And because sometimes you're not always going to be playing, say, at Anfield or Stamford Bridge. You're going to be playing at Kings Meadow, or you're going to be playing at Meadow Park one week, and then you're going to be at the Emirates the next. It's just getting back, getting into it.
And then you get the smaller grounds like, say, Meadow Park, Crawley, Walton Hall Park.
Yes, definitely.
In comparison to Liverpool's new home, that's gone from my head.
Totally Wicked Stadium, which is a 10,000 seater stadium.
Exactly, but that's slightly bigger than all of those. Whereas Walton Park's got a smaller capacity, Meadow Park's got slightly bigger capacity, because I know that our Everton tickets are limited to 200 from what I was reading. So it's going to be good luck to every goon who's going to try and get tickets for that. Tell you that now.
There's some news on that, isn't there? I don't know if you're going to bring it up or not.
Is there? Go on.
Yes.
Go for it.
So the BBC have chosen to move the Liverpool Man United game. That's going to be at Anfield. That's going to be on the Friday night, and it's also the same night that Arsenal are going to be playing Everton at Walton Hall Park. So I think this is Friday the 15th or 16th.
9th. No, it's Friday the 14th. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's a month from tomorrow.
So it's just one of those where they haven't planned it out very well, and I don't think we'll see as many fans there as we usually see. Usually, Walton Hall Park. When Arsenal go there, it's quite packed because it's a Sunday game, and it's a very much a spring's in the air. It's nice and warm again, and unfortunately, because of the Champions League fixtures and things like that, this time they've had to move the game from that Sunday slot because the game against Madrid is on the Tuesday, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday night. No, Tuesday for the away leg, and then the Wednesday
Yes,
home leg. I know that because I'm going to the home leg. I really wanted to go to the away leg, but I physically can't do it. It makes me sad. But yeah, no. Another bit of exciting news. Taya Goldie came home. Which made me really, really excited. Obviously, I've seen minutes from Taya, but I haven't actually seen her live. So watching her for the full 90 minutes, and I'm like, we've got to keep hold of this girl. London City Lionesses cannot keep her. I mean, for someone her age to be going toe to toe with Katie McCabe, Alessia Russo, and not having the slightest bit of fear in her game, we've got a good defender there.
100%. The problem, I think there has been a high ceiling for Taya. Unfortunately, she had those 2 ACL injuries. But what has helped her is
Rob Holding telling the world.
But there is a reason why you can see why London City Lionesses want to keep hold of her, and I think it's going to be in her hands, because there might be a situation where Arsenal need to keep hold of her, but not out of necessity, but because there's going to be a role for Taya to play next season. But if she did really well throughout. I think she was their best defender on the day. But it just goes to show you that if London City Lionesses are taking hold and really want her, they've already got some superstars in their team.
Absolutely. I mean, I had the privilege of seeing Sophia Jakobsen. We had Kosve Aslani playing as well, and World Cup 2011 champion Saki Kumagai. I mean, that was a privilege. Absolute privilege to watch all 3 of them. Even Julia Rodder as well. I mean, she gave us a run for our money. I will say that. But if we quickly take a look at this London City Lionesses, if I can get my words out today, we had Emily Orman in goal, Megan Campbell, Georgia Brawman, Taya Goldie at the back. In the midfield, we had Grace Neville, Rafia Imran, Julia Rodder, Saki Kumagai, Kosfe Asalani up top with Isabel Goodwin and Sophia Jakobsen. I mean, for a team that's got WSL ambitions, they're not short of talent.
No, it's almost they've got WSL names in the championship team, so they won't be one of those teams that you'd think of and go, oh yeah, they'll definitely get relegated next season if they did come up. At the moment, they are second behind Birmingham City, but it is a very interesting race. It is a bit of a shame though that the championship, you can only see one of the championship games, and then you have to wait for the next day to actually watch the rest of them on the championship YouTube channel. But that will all change next season. But for the moment, it would be if when you're looking for a team to watch, it's not one team that you can turn around and say is a bad team in the championship. It's a very, very competitive league, and they've done really well. It's just what can the championship teams do to bridge the gap between the WSL at the moment, because it's becoming a case of you getting the same old WSL teams either fighting for relegation or just knowing they've got those 14 points and they're going to stay up now. So sooner or later, things like that are going to have to change.
Oh yeah, the thing is, eventually, I think the long-term plans are to expand. We have some more sort of, no disrespect, lower league teams come up. But you kind of look at the championship at the moment. Charlton are sitting in 5th at the minute. There's 6 points. 5 points between them and the top. I mean, title race isn't over yet. Got a long way to go. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So, as we all know, our hopes of our third League Cup were denied by Man City. But as I said earlier, no team's won more for FA Cups than Arsenal's 14. But we haven't listed since the 2015-16 season. And we actually beat Chelsea 1-0 in that final, which was fantastic. So, Laia Cadena, header from the header, straight into the bottom corner at 32 minutes. Did you see that coming? Because I didn't. I thought Katie Reid had scored it at first. I'm not going to lie, from where I was sitting at the other end of the pitch, it looked like Katie Reid got her foot to it.
It wasn't like Lil Williamson's where you just see a bundle of people and it's somehow gone in the back of the net. It's more about, I think what's great is that when you watch it at home is that you can see that Leo Cadena has got the jump, and she's been able to bring it home. I think she's been a secret weapon that we haven't really used. When you look at who's going to be that defender that's going to be the one to jump out and get the goals. Last year it was Amanda Illerstedt. Obviously she went off, got pregnant. That sounded a bit rude there. She was pregnant.
She started her family.
And she got pregnant. She had a family. But she's coming back. But I think it's nice to see that we're the team are actually doing something a bit different. It's not always the same people getting the goals. Last week it was 2 weeks ago it was Lotta Wubben-Moy from a free kick. Last weekend it was Laia Cadena from, I think it was a corner in the end, wasn't it? So it's always nice to see that one of the defenders is getting their heads on these things. So sooner or later, I am touching wood, we might see a Katie Reid goal this season.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. I'm all here for it. After the last 2 cup games, I'm all here for it. But the thing is, we didn't have it very easy at 1-0. It was 7 minutes later, as Lani sent an inviting cross into the box to Sophia Jakobsen. She just couldn't adjust her fire off to get the shot on target. And we went into half-time 1-0 up. I mean, during that first half, it wasn't all Arsenal. No,
and I always like it when the cup games are quite tight. I don't want to be sitting watching the game and say you're 3-0 up at half time and United ties almost over at this point. It's just, it makes it feel a lot more on the line. But this game, I think this game was always going to be quite tight. So, it was pretty much almost end to end at times. And again, it makes great watch. A bit similar to the Rugby Borough Liverpool game, it was very end to end, but Rugby Borough didn't take their chances, whereas Liverpool did towards the end. And that's what you've got to do in these competitions, because sometimes it can be those opportunities where you don't go and get one in the back of the net. It can come back to haunt you.
No, absolutely. I mean, like, that's the magic of the cup, though. Anything can happen, and it was nice to see a championship side actually give us a game. Like, we're not going to back off just because you're Arsenal. And in comparison to the Bristol City game, it was a very, very, very different side. And Bristol City are just behind London City Lionesses in the league, I think, and it's a very different team.
It really is, and I think it just goes to show you how
ambitious
how ambitious they are. But at the same time, the owner is Michelle Cannon, who owns Seattle Olympic Reign, and now it's Seattle Reign, I think it is. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah, she also owns Leon.
So she's a very ambitious person. She's not just going to be one of those people that just sits and says, right, I want to do this and this and this. She makes it happen. The signings of Asllani and Jakobsen and as well as Kumagai in the January window. I don't think anyone saw that
She was
happening.
no, I didn't. She was at Roma, wasn't she? If I remember rightly, I remember her
Yes,
signing for
yeah,
Roma at one point.
she was at Roma at the time. It was just one of those that you don't see it happening, but it means that there's an intention there to go out and make sure that they give you a well, again, back to that their WSL team in a championship, but they're not 100% the WSL team yet because they haven't gotten that promotion spot. But they
They're
might be
fighting for it,
close.
though. They're fighting for it. We'll see.
And
We will see.
it's great to see that there's so many teams fighting it out. I think last year with what happened with Charlton and Palace towards literally, and Sunderland as well. Sunderland last day, if it had Sunderland have beaten Palace, I think Sunderland would have been up instead of Palace. So it's just one of those where we might see this for the next couple of years, and it might push a button to say, look, we need to have more championship teams being promoted, and might see that two promoted, two up, two down in place.
Yeah, I think maybe thing is I think the only way forward is probably put two up, two down. It does mean 4 extra games, but where would you put them? Because we've got the Christmas break. Our season's a little bit shorter than the men's. So is it a case to restart our season even earlier? Or finish later?
The problem is about it's all about when the competitions like the World Cup and the European Championships, we've got to make sure that when I say we, like UEFA and FIFA, make sure that they are opening this up as much as possible. So I would like to see, for say the World Cup in Brazil, I would imagine that might be a August tournament again, which probably means that there is an opportunity there to maybe go on a little bit longer, have a bit of a longer season in that May period. So it could be a case that maybe you break, instead of having say 3 weeks for the winter break, you have 2 weeks, because I'm going to be honest. I like the idea of the winter break. I think it's needed.
Absolutely. I'm like, as much as the girls need that break, as a fan who follows both the men's and women's team, I welcome that winter break, because the build up to Christmas, it gets very, very, very intense as well. So I get how although the players are the ones that are running around like lunatics, the fans, I find, especially amongst the group that we go with, the fan fatigue, the travelling and everything else, it catches up with everybody. And I rarely miss a home game. Rarely. But I welcome that winter break. I really, really, really hope they don't decide, we're going to scrap it. Because in terms of Arsenal, particularly, we've got a lot of first team international stars, and they don't get no rest. That winter break is exactly what the whole of the league is, and our girls need. And I really hope they never get rid of it.
I agree, and it's just if they were to cut it down from 3 weeks to 2 weeks, I think the 2 weeks would give them enough, because just after that third week, I think they sort of don't know what to do with themselves sometimes, so they're taking extended.
It's a bit like when you go away, you book it. Like when I go away, I can't book 2 weeks off. I've got to go for 10 days, and then I've got to come home. I'm like, no, I want to come home now. I've had enough. As beautiful as wherever I am is, it's like, no, I need to come home. Like,
I mean, it's probably better for some of the more travelled players like the Steph Catleys getting forward that actually go back to their home countries, and they probably enjoy having those 3 weeks because they're basically back home and they can sit back and relax, and they're with family and friends and things like that, and they get to see people that they probably don't get to see that often unless they're back for international breaks. So but just for me, I think having 2 weeks, that 2 week winter break, and then having even if it means having a double game week, maybe even if it means maybe cutting down, I still like the League Cup format with the cup and the groups. I just think what might be a better idea is to maybe have it where you wherever you finish, that almost sort of similar to what's happening in the next season with the Champions League, is it almost becomes like a you don't, if you finished say in the top two, you qualify for the quarterfinals, everyone else goes into the playoffs, and it'd be the same with the if you're in the Champions League or the Europa Cup, because you've been knocked out of the Champions League, then you get put into the playoff round instead, which I think would probably be a bit fairer, and we won't see, say, the same old teams being top and second, and it gives more of a chance for the others.
No, I couldn't agree more with that. I'm still trying to get my head around the new Champions League format with the men, and I'm still not too sure about this. I think after next season, I should be okay with it. I'm just going with it, turning up at this point. So it's a lot to kind of adjust yourself to when you've been going for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's been a certain format. And so I've sort of come into the women's game, and it's, this is the same format. This should be fine, picking it up and learning the players, etc., etc. Now all of a sudden you're going to change it to a new format that even men's team fans can't really get their heads around. So it's going to be interesting.
With a smaller amount of teams as well. There's 24 teams in the group stages. That's not going to be moved up to 26. So it's even more confusing, because it means that if you're looking at 16 places, does that mean only 24 or going into it? It is a very confusing format to have with only 20, well, it's 26 teams, shall we say. Whereas the Champions League for the men, it had over 40. I'm guesstimating here.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but that table was massive. Arsenal qualified, so I don't care. Let's leave it at that. Man City are currently losing to Real Madrid, so happy bloody days. But can we revert back to the London City Lionesses? So 60 seconds into the first half, Frida Linnards-Mornham got behind that back line. She gave Taya Goldie the slip, and the outside of her right foot shot was saved by Emily Orman. Goalkeepers unit. Was that a difficult save? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. This is where I have to tell you that I haven't watched the game back since I think it's just one of those. I think it's just going to be one of those instinct saves. I don't think it's anything. But when you're a goalkeeper, one of the first things you want to do is you want to make a big save in the first couple of minutes, just to boost up your confidence and get yourself set for the game, because it's going to be, that's not going to happen one time. It's going to happen 3 or 4 times depending on who you're playing.
Oh no, absolutely. 51 minutes. Kate McCabe fed a ball into Frusho. She sent the ball over to Kyra, and again, Emily Orman saves it. The second one must have been banging on the door by then, surely.
Yes, yeah. I think when you're getting those chances, you're just thinking it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Luckily, this wasn't the game away at Tottenham where I was saying it was going to happen, and then the opposite happens. They got at the other end of the score.
Which someone blaming you for that
yes, you did. Although you decided to.
I told you not to say it. Adam does it as well. The pair of you do it, and it drives me crazy. As much as I adore both of you as my friends, both of you have to say something, and I just want to go. Urgh.
That's the only time I think I've ever said it's going to happen, and then the opposite has happened. A lot of the time, when you're back in on the door, that amount of times, eventually, the door will fall over, and it's great. It's unfortunate not to get that second in the first couple of minutes, because then you get to see what will London City do now. Do they go for it, or do they shut up shop?
No, the thing is, technically at 1-0, you're still in the game. It's not game over like it was, say, for Bristol City, 4-0 in 25 minutes.
Yeah,
it wasn't game over. So they gave as good as they got. they did pull us apart a bit. I mean, did you see my shot of Kyra and that tackle? I know Arsenal have dropped a video about it. I can see myself taking the photos at the time actually, but it's glimpses of that which does it show Kyra's does it sorry about that does it show Kyra's ceilings, or are they higher than what we see from her regaining that ball back?
I think she's definitely got high ceilings, and I think we're just about seeing the player that we thought we were getting. There's a player in there for definite. She's still a young player, and I think we will definitely be seeing her for a couple more years. I say a couple of years. You'll probably want a life contract, won't you?
I know I'm 10 more years, Kyra, I say. So I'm already in there. I'm already in that department, you know. So as much as I'd also like him to say another 10 years, but hey. So despite completely dominating, we had to wait up until the 81 minutes to ensure a victory. Frida Leonardson-Mornham's shot was parried off. The goal by Allman prior to Black Stars following up to make it 2-0 lead, and it's 50 goals for Stina Blackstenius and the Arsenal. I mean, it's one way to make a landmark, isn't it?
It is, and it's a great little backdrop that you've got of the celebration there. I think when you think of Stina coming off the bench and scoring goals, that's what she does best. It has been difficult when she's starting games at times where she's through on goal, 1-on-1, you think she's going to score, and she somehow hits it wide, or like the game against England at Wembley, where you think, I still don't understand how that happened. But it's just one of those where she doesn't. Sometimes I just want, maybe she's just one of those that relies on instincts. The more she has time to think about something, she overthinks, and that's what worries. I know I always talk about the game against Koga where Zurich, where she all she needs to do is tap it in, instead she hits it straight at the goalkeeper's face. But it's things like that where maybe she overthinks at times, and maybe having Renee as a manager is actually helping her a little bit to be less overthinking in these sort of situations. But there was just pure instinct.
What's really interesting is, I don't know if you saw the video with Renee and the team. They're in the room with the big projectors. They all sang happy birthday to Stina and Renee. They share the same birthday. And what was really interesting, she said to Stina, "How many birthdays have we celebrated together?" And this is going all the way back to back to when she was 17 years old. I think she said it's 5, or I think it's 6 now. They've celebrated together. So I think Renee can access the best of the best of Stina. I think we've seen what Jonas could do, and I think there's a lot more coming from Stina, because she's got a coach. She's now got a coach that knows her very, very well. I'm sure Jonas did, but I think with Renee, the advantage is she's played with her for 6 seasons, or she's either played with her or managed her, and she knows Stina's game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I've come across correctly.
Yeah, so I think the best way to describe it is Renee's been there, done that, and gotten the t-shirt, and because she's it's something that I think that a female coach has over a male coach, is that although you see like Seth Hines with Orlando City, he's able to bring the best out of those players, and they went and got their championship this season, or last year, shall we say. You don't see very many male managers do the same as someone like a Renee Slegers, being able to get the best out of female players, because it's totally different to what the men do.
No, absolutely. I mean, we can only just take a quick glance at Aston Villa. Hit that manager, for example, his name escapes me. I know he was Dutch.
Yeah.
And you look back on
DePaul?
That's it. That's his name. And you look at DePaul and you look at the talent that Villa have got, and it hasn't really worked out this season. Again, and it's just considering when Rachel Daly first landed in the WSL, and she had that first season under Rhiannon Skinner.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
No, sorry, no, Ward.
No. Yes.
Carla Ward.
My bad. Sorry. Do you know what it was? I was reading an article about West Ham earlier, and I've just got her in my head for some reason. I don't know why. But after having that season with them, and then it's just gone downhill, it's not really great. I am going to ask you this question. I've been itching to ask this question. Favorite Stina Blackstenius goal out of the 50? One that just made you chuckle, and then one that you just love.
I don't think we can.
I can give you the chuckle one if you like.
Go on.
It's got to be the one against Aston Villa.
Oh,
She
the one.
cheated.
Oh, right. Yes.
She
yes.
cheated.
The one that I
one
missed because I had to get the train back because they were
Yes,
late.
the one that you missed. I mean, I hold my hands up as an Arsenal fan. She cheated that one, but
Yeah.
it was that hilarious that we got away with it. It was unbelievable. We'd already won the game at that point.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, what on earth is going on? Can you imagine the VAR reaction?
I think what makes it worse is you could probably make a referee compilation over the last 2-3 years of bad decisions, and one of them would have been the Stina handball.
Absolutely.
The other one of them would have been the free kick that wasn't penalty at the Merseyside derby, and then I think the Man City one, which was a penalty, which was the penalty, which also was meant to be a free kick. But I think Stina's best goal. It's hard to say for certain because there's times where you look back on and she's won us games with just moments of brilliance. I think probably if you go back, I think Adam would probably say the best goal that she scored was her first one against Man United, getting the equaliser. But I think when you think of Stina, she is in some ways a big moments player. The fact that she scored the equaliser against Wolfsburg, I think I'm going to go with that one because I think I know if I say the other one, I think I'd steal your one. You're laughing at me.
Yeah, I know. I'm chuckling to myself because I'm wondering which one you're thinking of. But for me, it's got to be the most recent one is beating Chelsea in that last Continental.
That is the one I was thinking of.
And and the nutmeg that ensued. I think it was it Guro Wrighton? I think it was Guro Wrighton. I'd have to go back to the photograph. But that nutmeg after travelling all the way up to Wolves and just being in that stand, and the seats that we had were amazing, and like singing with like as a whole stand, singing as one, and with the players, it was amazing. Although we did have a bit of a nightmare at that point during the game, but it was also so worth it. I mean, as that will always be one of my favourite Stina goals, but it's also one of those ones where you're not sure how it went in, and I think that will go for my most recent London City Lioness, because I didn't even see Stina touch the ball when I was at that game. I was like, what actually happened? For both of those goals, because I had the camera on the goal, and I completely missed it, which was just insane, to be honest. But yeah, no, we've come to the end of the pod. We're now approaching that wonderful hour mark. If you've managed to stay with us this long, well done. We love you. But you can find the podcast at VAW Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can always catch up with our matchday photos on Twitter and Instagram. They're not that fantastic, but I do try. Matt, where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me at SmassLR28. I'm sorry, I'll let you talk about Adam as well.
Yeah, you can find Adam at AdamSalter4 at the Arsenal Archive as well, and you can catch his work as well.
Halfway line.
At the halfway line. That's it. My brain's going to kill me for that. At the halfway line. All the links will be in the description below. If you're an audio listener, you're going to have to get a pen because I can't put those links in the description. So I'm so sorry. But we will be back with our preview for the North London derby on Saturday. I am going to hold my hands up and say I do want to watch the Leicester game first. So we will be back Saturday afternoon at some point. For now, enjoy the rest of your week. It's almost Friday, or it is Friday, depending when you're listening to this. And we'll see you soon. Come on, you Gunners.